Some might say, why try and keep a 26-year-old rusty box on wheels running? But I say it's a car I want to keep forever, and I'm sure a lot of you watching this think the same about yours. Over the 5 years that I've owned Boris, I've done anything to try and keep it on the ground, do anything myself, and take on any task that means it will stay with me and going on for the rest of my life. This video has been a long time coming. I did make an introduction video to the bulkhead replacement, but today we're finally getting on with it. It has been delayed, so I'm sorry about that. I've had a few comments asking where the video is, both on Instagram and here on YouTube on my other videos, so hopefully if that was you, you'll be pleased with this. We've had to do a few procedures along the way, as mentioned in the previous video. First was a list of parts needed to replace to make sure that we're doing the right thing when we're taking the bulkhead out, and also some upgrades while we're there as well. Secondly was actually coating the bulkhead. In my last video I mentioned it was being done a few days later. That's now been done by Jack Fielder, and he did a really good job on it. Thankfully he's got a professional booth, and as you can see here, it's been primed and painted and also matches with the Isles blue or windjammer that Boris is. So here we go. I won't waste any more of your time, and I'll pass you over to myself in the future. So check this out. Finally, we're here at BHE Autos. I've got the DDS bulkhead on my right, and if you can't tell the difference, the old one on my left. It all comes down to this week. If you can't tell already, effectively this is the end of day one, and the next thing you see is the beginning of today. And so far it's all gone pretty well, and I'm excited for the rest of it. So let's get going. The job of installing a new bulkhead is said to be one of the most laborious jobs that there is. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's surrounded by almost everything towards the front of the car. As you'll notice throughout this film, Ben will be leading us through it. I was just helping him. Thankfully, his knowledge and expertise of doing bulkhead swaps is huge and really helped out during this process. The left-hand side of the dash has started to come off to reveal the wiper motor, and as you can see, also quite a bit of rust. There is some remnants of me filling it in the past, but thankfully that is all behind us and this is about to go, but check that out. Throughout this job there were a few things that surprisingly halted us, and the first one was removing the snorkel. It proved so tricky, in fact we left it on to remove later. Although the bulkhead is definitely accessible when the truck is on the ground, it's nice being able to lift the truck up to work in the arches underneath the vehicle, and for a few other bits and pieces as well.
Okay. Those stay in. Yeah. That needs to come undone. Okay. Long bolt. Front one there needs to come undone. Back one there needs to come undone. Okay.
Thankfully this time I managed to bring my own toolbox, which means I don't have to ask Ben every 5 seconds where something is, but one frustrating thing was I don't know the order or which things need to come off, so that's where I was having to ask Ben and he was having to direct me. But thankfully once I get going on a few jobs and maybe set me off on a list, I managed to get cracking and get some of the parts coming off nice and quickly. Like these floor plates that were definitely stuck down, but with a bit of force came off nice and easily. It's amazing when you put your mind to it and there's two of you how quickly the truck starts to come apart. This won't be a how-to film, so there will be bits we missed in the film, but it's just a general look at what we were doing when we were replacing it. Even though it looks very rusty here, there's even more hiding underneath. It can look alright from the top and from the surface, but pretty much underneath this paint there is no metal left but filler and rust. It's quite daunting what can be lurking under the bubbles.
This is this damn snorkel again.
Got the hose clamps in there.
Hello! The fact that your actual wing isn't bolted to where it's supposed to be. That's what's supposed to be.
Thankfully for us, this happens twice a day. If we've forgotten anything, we can ring up Brookwells and they can save us. Here's the heated windscreen going out now. Very excited to put that one in, and it'll be a huge upgrade. Just lurking in the van right there is a big box of parts that we put together a few weeks ago in preparation for this.
Thank you very much.
Windscreen seal, yeah.
No bulkhead seal. Upper seal. another wheel box, new bolt, new bulkhead.
Oh, nice.
That was just a quick look at the parts that we bought. There was a lot more in that box, so that wasn't everything. It was definitely valuable to put the effort in before the build, because even though we did need a few parts along the way, we didn't miss all that much. And right now, with everything on the passenger side removed, it's time for Ben to release that left wing. We managed to leave a few things on, like the washer bottle, as you can see, all of the lights with the loom as well, and it's nice and easy because you don't have to put it back on later. And you see what I'm talking about now? As you have a little dig around with a screwdriver, you can see how bad the rust really is. And as we get back to it, it's time to start removing the windscreen. Just a few bolts along the top, nice and easy, and then you can start getting in there underneath of the pry bar and start lifting the windscreen up. Sometimes it can be a bit of a nightmare, but this time...
Now we've just got to flick it up above those pins and then out at the bottom. That's it, like that. And then hopefully...
Hey!
It's not too bad at all, and now it's time to get the wooden dash out and move onwards. The bolts attaching the sill plate to the bulkhead were extremely rusty and very hard to get to, so we resorted to force on both sides, and thankfully the grinder cut them away with ease. Check that wiring out. You may have seen it before on the channel, but if you haven't, it's probably quite a scary prospect. During this replacement, I'm going to be sorting that out as well. We'll be putting this whole unit in the bin, replacing it with a new one, radio and switches as well. So this is where we are right now. As you can see, everything is off, apart from the bulkhead pretty much. Ben's just out at the moment. I've just been in the dash area having a look at the wiring for behind there, and it is an absolute nightmare. What I'm going to do, hopefully when the bulkhead's out and back in again, we're all done, everything's back together, I'm probably going to just completely redo that dash area and look at all that's removed. Get a whole new mud dash. I've got a new stereo to go in, so I might as well improve the wiring while I'm there as well. But look at that, never seen it quite like this before. When we did the engine swap, everything stayed in place, but yeah, looking really cool and very excited for the next step.
Master's going to drop the servo. The servo can stay in place. Disconnect the steering column at that top joint. Disconnect the wiring here. 2 bolts at the bottom, and she's out.
You hear that? And she's out. So there's really not much to do now. It's the final things. I thought I'd get the vents off while we're there, as I need to paint them as well. Now they're off, and a few other bits have come off as well. Ben's going to have a final check over in the engine bay, leaving a few things on the bulkhead to come off with it. He says we're ready to go.
Right, dash.
You hear that?
Right, over the front or?
Yeah. Right.
And there you go, just like that, it's out. That time I didn't get my hands dirty, I did just do some filming, and thankfully the guys did it with ease. In the words of Ben, now we're looking like we're in trouble. We're definitely past the point of no return, and all we can do is move forwards. I actually picked these vents up later on from DDS. It was a new product to their line, and now they can provide them for the bulkhead as well. When I picked it up, they weren't attached, so I needed to paint them up, and we're going to glue them in instead of screwing them, because I think it's a better option so we don't build more rust.
I'm not going to strain. I'm going to... made it worse.
Shush! People! Don't, just give me my moment.
As you can see, Ben loves to have his moment, and I'm sure he'll love to have that in the film. But right now, as you can see, we're in really good shape. We've got the new bulkhead lined up on the left, and the old one lined up on the right, and it's time to start moving things across from the old one onto the new one and putting new bits on as we go along. Right here we're actually at the end of day one and we're looking in a really good place. Both bulkhead there as you can see, and Boris hanging in the air awaiting the new bulkhead ready for the morning. It's currently the morning of day 2. Got here bright and early, ready to crack on. Just had a call with Brookwells, ordering up a few parts we missed out, dash switch and a few other bits and pieces. But now it's time to crack on. As you can see, we've got the 2 bulkheads just lying there on the floor, and what we're going to do is move everything across from one to the other, which shouldn't be too much of a pain. Should be alright. Just touched up a few bits and pieces on the vents and on the bulkhead as well to make sure it's nice and sealed, but once we've done that, flip it over and start moving over, so it should be good. I'm going to be using the vents from the old bulkhead, so it's a nice part of Boris still living on the new one. Here I'm painting them up with another aerosol, and hopefully they match up just as good because the paint came from the same supplier. There they are, ready to dry, and I'll put a few more coats on them and then they'll go back on. It's this stage of the bulkhead swap where you realise where experience and expertise comes in. Ben just knows what he's looking at when it's coming to looms and steering columns and lots of bits and pieces inside the bulkhead. I moved on to painting and insulating, so thankfully I could do stuff that I could be helpful with, and Ben can crack on with stuff that he's really good at. Here I've got a Dynamat kit for the footwells from Brookwells. It comes scored, but you have to cut it yourself, so there you go. It doesn't quite cover the whole area as you'd expect. It actually just covers each panel just enough to allow the vibrations to not be too much. Thankfully I've got another couple of panels to go on as well, so I'll fill up any gaps and also do the dashboard as well. Now the vents are dry, it's time to glue those in with some really strong CT1, and I'm really happy with that solution as I wouldn't want to drill into the bulkhead. Now it's all coated, so this is nice and sealed and also will stay there forever. I didn't want to go completely overboard and spend hours doing the Dynamat, so it was quite a quick job, probably just an hour in total. I thought I'd do as much as I can without it impeding on putting new screws and parts back on, and in the future I'm going to be getting an Exmore trim rubber matting, which will also help with the sound deadening as well. And with that job nicely tied up, done, we can start putting things back on. But before that, as we got them out next to each other, I thought it'd be a good time to take a proper look at the before and after of the old and new bulkhead. Completely rotting out. Obviously, the new one looks absolutely fantastic. This is just a good chance to really have a look at how bad the old one was and the quality of the new one. The paintwork looks absolutely fantastic, and the difference is absolutely huge when you're putting it back in. So far, there's been no hiccups whatsoever. All the holes are in the right place, and all of the holes are actually threaded as well, which make a massive difference. So back to it, and the work of moving everything over carries on. Thankfully, me and Ben work in a similar way, not completely ordered and meticulous. Thankfully, we are both a bit rough and ready. He has a lot more skill than me, so he can sort of warrant that, but somehow in the end, it all comes back together, even though everything explodes out over the workshop. It does all come back onto the bulkhead and in place. As you can see here, we're both working on the same area, as there is some bits that definitely need 2 people. Just easier to not have to reach round and just remove bolts at the same time. Oh god, wiring, horrible years of horrible wiring with lots of different coloured tapes, crimps and everything. Thankfully Ben has his head and mind over it and is starting to install it back in. Goes back in through the bulkhead, the grommet will be there for the engine bay, and thankfully he's got his head over it because I have no clue. I had hardly anything to do with that. Thankfully Ben managed to smash it out. While Ben had an MOT to go and do, I stayed back and worked on the pedals. Thankfully all I had to do was remove the old seals, use some brake cleaner to clean it up and put some RTV on it to seal it to stop any water getting through again. Needs to go through there, and also I'm going to be attaching my security plate. But wait, there's something not quite right. I didn't realise at the time, but right now I'm causing a lot of trouble. Just wait till later in the film and you'll see what I'm talking about. But right now I'm going to carry on clueless because I had no idea. Now things are starting to take shape and go across, you start to notice the pieces that are going onto the new bulkhead looking quite old and shabby. On the old one, as you can see, it really didn't look any different, but against the new paint and new bulkhead, it doesn't look great at all. The old one really is showing its scars over the years, but what I thought I'd do is replace the brake servo and also give the actual brake pedal a bit of a refurb as well. Although not fully restored to the standard I would like it to be, it looks a hell of a lot better, and it's now time to put the clips on to the bulkhead that attach the wing on. Unfortunately, I definitely dropped one down there. That's definitely not a great moment when you've only got enough for each hole. Thought I'd work a little bit harder, do a little bit better, and also here I am, finally getting out a very happy moment. It's little pieces like these red bits you forget about when changing the bulkhead, but they're crucial for having new ones, and then I got a little bit distracted while Ben was out. Right then, so it's the afternoon, about 1 o'clock on day 2, and I think we're doing pretty well really. You would have seen pretty much what we're doing, but I just thought I'd get on here and do a bit of an update. Still quite a bit of mess, as you can see. Just working on the brake servo replacement now, and also just fitted the clutch cover, but everything is still fully in bits. But Ben says that we'll be able to put it all back together by this afternoon or this evening, and we'll be able to mount it up, but it won't be ready to drive until probably tomorrow evening, which is still very good. 3 days. I'm hoping to maybe spend a day here afterwards, paying attention to the dashboard and rewiring a few things up. Hopefully I'll get a switch up here, and I was thinking about fitting a new dash as well as a radio. But apart from that, we're looking really good, and the actual physical things on the bulkhead are looking absolutely fantastic. Ben actually said himself, and I'm sure I'll mention it throughout, how good so far. Obviously we haven't fitted it yet, but all the holes have been there. All of them are already threaded as well. Nothing's warped, obviously, because it's zinc plated, so I'm really happy with the direction we've gone with that, and it's looking like a hell of a good quality bit of kit so far, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it go in, because I think it's going to be a treat, but we'll have to see. So let's crack on. This is the sort of halfway point of the job. It's not very rewarding because all you're doing is swapping things over, but you do get to have a look in the dash and find some old treasures from previous owners.
Well, there as well.
A spoon.
Ha! Spoony surprise.
Oh, there you go. There we go.
Oh, we found one. Good. I feel like I haven't missed out on the true history of him.
I told Ben we would find a bullet shell in there. I also found a lighter that worked as well. So you've got a spoon, a working lighter, and a bullet shell. I did post those things on my Instagram, and people were very creative with the stories. I'm sure you can imagine what they said. But right now what we're going to do is crack on getting this dashboard back in. Trying to find the holes was quite difficult, but they were exactly where they're meant to be, and Ben cracked on putting everything back on over the steering column, and this dash was starting to look a hell of a lot more like a bulkhead ready to go back in the Land Rover than the old one. Isn't it looking like it's coming together? All those bits on a brand new painted bulkhead does look fantastic. Ben's about to put the tunnel attaching plate on. Here I definitely lost a bit of enthusiasm, but Ben soldiered on as always. Really, really excited to see it all going back together now. And with those last few bits on, Ben deemed it ready enough to lower Boris down and get Josh in to help us lift it back onto the vehicle.
That's it. I can't see. There we go. Nice.
Hey.
Nice. Right. So if you grab somewhere inside all the heater box, I'm going to swing back and try and get mine in.
So there you are, look. The bulkhead is officially in. It's not bolted up yet, and we haven't finessed anything, and there's a lot to go. Got a few bits to do on the inside tomorrow. Got new stainless steel bolts and a few bits more arriving tomorrow as well, but we are looking very good. I'm very happy. Everything lined up really easily. Haven't had to shimmy anything. Haven't had to re-drill. It's an absolute dream, so I'm super happy with that. Really loving the process and actually enjoying it. It's not been bad at all. Monday, Tuesday done, Wednesday tomorrow. Hoping to be in a good place tomorrow evening, and then maybe spend Thursday and a bit of Friday potentially just fiddling with electronics, but super happy with that. As day 2 draws to a close, we thought we'd just finish the last half an hour or so, putting the last few bits onto the vehicle. I put the brake and new servo onto that side, while Ben is attaching the wing, and that is a big moment in my book. Ben is happy with the progress so far, and I couldn't be happier. Day 3 started off in under the bonnet, lots of wiring. Ben's doing a great job here of looming up the old wires using a nice cloth tape, and I thought I'd get on to the side lights, main lights and the left side front loom. Up until now we were extremely happy with the progress that was being made. It was all quite heavy duty and mechanical, but this is when the wiring going back in started to take place and a few gremlins started to show their face. Here's a prime example of me and Ben working together, me heads down in a job that doesn't pretty much mean anything, that takes me half an hour, and he managed to get the wing on without me even knowing. Got a bit of an eBay special aluminium coolant bottle there because the old one was cracked. That looks nice. I admit to not being an electrical wizard, but I have definitely improved. This job, we definitely tried to put the loom back into a better position than it was already, rerouting it in actual neat places rather than running it over the top of things, making good, bad wiring previous owners have made, and some also very bad decisions that I've made in the past, but in doing the best we could do, I also messed up a little bit too. Here we're getting the headlights back into position. As you can see, the DRLs are starting to work, but one of the main things that really halted us was me cutting the side light cable now. As you can see, I had no idea what I'd just done, but later on I will find out what nightmares it has caused during the wiring, and in a moment I'll update you on that. But for now, let's distract ourselves from bad things like that with new shiny grille surrounds and get that grille back on as well. Thankfully, we can do the physical things as well as the wiring, which keeps us going and stops us from getting too bogged down. So then a little bit of an update, halfway through day 3. It's been very smooth up until now, and it is looking very good. As you can see from the outside, it would seem absolutely perfect. But unfortunately, as you can probably imagine with all of the sort of fiddling in Boris with electrics, me and mainly people before me, obviously, we've hit a little bit of a problem. I was wiring in the side lights and they sort of shorted together and has seemed to have kicked a fuse. We've now looked at all of the fuses and it doesn't really seem to have showed a problem with any of the fuses, but we've lost side lights, we've lost main beam, we've lost a few other bits. The brake lights aren't working and the rear side light isn't working, the tail light. So that's a bit of a problem, but everything else has gone really well. Really happy with everything. Obviously the aluminium bottles in, the grille's back on, the brand new surround there as well. The lights will be wired in all completely once we've tracked down that problem. And just replacing new bits every now and then from Brookwells. Obviously got the rubber mounts from the airbox, a new not truck horn going in now, which is pretty good. But just about to put the pretty nice wooden dash back in now. Wooden dash with the very sad hula girl lost on there. So that won't be going back on. I'll fix her in a bit. That'll go in now because it's a bit easier, and then I'll put me and Josh are going to focus on putting the windscreen on, mounting that up, and then about 4:30 today there's a guy coming to fit the heated one, so that'd be pretty cool. So that's a little update so far. A bit somber at the moment, but hopefully the next time you hear from me it will be good news about that horrible little electrical gremlin. Here I am, back again, but unfortunately with no updates just yet. But keep listening as I will be able to tell you what was wrong later. Right here, what I'm going to be doing is filling the entire bulkhead with this incredible rust proofing and rust preventing wax that's extremely thin, so it doesn't run everywhere inside it, and also then starts to thicken up, thankfully later, and causes a nice rust proof coating and goes all over you, as you can see. I managed to do that throughout using the lance, as you can see there, but definitely make sure it doesn't go in your eyes. Here you can see my genuine door seals from Brookwells. They're quite nice and easy to go on and quite a satisfying job. Definitely 100% I've done both. genuine and non-genuine seals before, and that is definitely something you want to spend the money on.
It's always time for tea though.
You're right, Josh, there is always time for tea, especially in my books. Thankfully, Josh was free enough to help me with the windscreen mounts as Ben was out doing an MOT. They were extremely difficult to do. In the end, we managed to use a ratchet strap to hold it down, and then that compressed the windscreen seal enough to get them bolted in. With that done, it's time to put the vents back on, and they look fantastic next to the paint. Unfortunately, later on, right now as I'm recording this, the paint I used wasn't the same as the other and has faded in the rain, and I have to repaint them. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to film the process of the windscreen going in, but here it is ready to go, and I'm excited to have that. With the exterior almost complete, it was time to work on the interior. Josh, Ben and I worked hard to put everything back in order, and it was starting to take shape. Here's Ben testing the clutch pedal. Just you wait until we reveal what's gone on in a moment.
Right, so your speedo cable's in.
Yeah. Oh, in it?
Done. Well, it needs putting into the dashboard, obviously. It's all laid in. I think pretty much all we've got to do under the bonnet now is your snorkel bolts, because I put your snorkel back on.
Nice.
I've used stainless screws down your windscreen. Clutch is bled, brakes are good.
Shall I put some coolant in it?
Air filter's done, coolant. Bonnet can go back on.
That's a sign of something.
That door can go on.
Yeah.
Let's get this door on, because then we know that everything is right, and when it goes up it's one time in the air. It's just rock sliders, spacers and the big bolt to do up, and the bulkhead is officially installed.
So with a few more steps, the bulkhead will be in place. But for now, let's take a look back at our wiring gremlin issue. It actually wasn't a fuse, it was the fuse box. Ben traced it down to a fault in the fuse box using his multimeter and finally sorted it. So that was that for day 3, and effectively we were done without that delay. So let's check back for day 4. Right here I'm putting the snorkel back in, not using all the bolts because they are a nightmare, and it has a flange custom made for it anyway, so you don't need them. The right hand arch goes in using the trim clips, and they all get done up nicely. Really easy job and really finishes it off. Just want to take a second to appreciate the lack of drips going on now, but there is the coolant back in as well.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the same as the other side, pretty much, isn't it? What's the back line like? Not bad.
Straight, I'd say.
Not bad.
And then obviously it was like that already, so I reckon the striker might help.
It's that line that's really pleased me.
The day before, I ordered a new mud dash to go in. DHL delivered it on time, so I'll unbox that and get that ready to go in. As Ben just said, it's time for Boris to go up in the air for one last time. What we needed to do is bolt the bulkhead back up, put the shims back in, and also attach the rock sliders on both sides. Not too much of a bad job once you've got it up in the air, a bit of wiggling, a bit of fettling, and it's all done. As promised, I have a brand new dash to go in, new stereo and new switches as well. Here's a tiny bit of the process of installing it, but I'm going to be making a full video of this process later on. It was a bit too much for this video to fit in, so that'll be coming up very soon. So if you aren't subscribed already, make sure you do and see that coming in the future. But right now it's time to jump ahead after the install of the dash and check in with me and Ben realizing the mistake I mentioned earlier with the clutch.
It started coming up after many pumps, so it's nearly there, but I think I'll just back bleed it.
Oh. You probably find just one fucking air bubble.
It might be my fault, the reason you couldn't bleed it.
Is it that orange thing?
Yeah, I put it on the wrong way around and it's hitting it.
It's times like these that Ben wonders why he ever agrees to working on Boris with me.
It's not good, it's only going halfway down. Sorry.
Well, it was funny.
I laid underneath
because I
there and got...
wondered that, and I didn't want to say anything.
It usually touches the floor. I'm really sorry.
I thought,
I'm
God,
laughing,
that's
but
a really
I
good
laid
shot.
under there and got covered in broken bones.
I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm sorry.
that's
I'm
funny.
sorry.
Oh, so the clutch is probably absolutely fine. You just need to turn that round. So I managed to get it into gear as far as it would go down.
It feels great until there. So that is definitely one of those moments that can be chalked up to my stupidity. And with that said, the job is done and upgraded, and all there is time to do is to finish off the dash and admire the truck for what it is. All there is to do now is to park it outside and admire the hard work that we've put into it and how well the job has done. So there we go then. There is the job done. And take a look at that. As you've seen already, this one definitely was in a very poor shape. And I think we've done pretty well to get that done in, I'd say, in total 3 days, I reckon. It's obviously the 5th day now, but this morning I've just spent the time cleaning up the tools, trying to make Ben's workshop look better, and also change that bit around on the clutch, because obviously I put that the wrong way around and we couldn't bleed the brakes, which is quite funny. But take a look at that. I think testament to Ben and his skills, my lack of skills, and also DDS's Bulkhead. I think we can both say along the way that it's been really easy because of the sort of OE style of it. Basically, they've put the quality and attention to making it basically fit like an original Bulkhead. It basically slipped in, which is great. So absolutely fantastic. I'm really happy with the way it looks and the way that this one looks, and this one's going to go in the skip. Grind, wouldn't you?
And in. Bye bye, Boris.
Nice. By Boris? Oh, we throw the wrong bit away. I'll keep the Bulkhead and throw Boris away.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Looks good, doesn't it? It definitely does look good. I'm over the moon with the results of the install and the quality of the products I've used. Look at the rust that came out of the old one. All there is to say now is thanks to Ben for working so hard alongside me, picking up the pieces where I go wrong. DDS for supplying such a brilliant piece of kit, a huge testament to them and the quality of their kit. Myself and DDS are working on a discount code for any future Bulkhead replacements you might need. The discount code hopefully will be in the description down below, and if it isn't yet, message me on Instagram and I'll make sure to get you in contact with them and hopefully get you a good deal. Brookwells for being so on the ball with the vans, supplying the parts, having the expertise. Without them, we would have been halted many times and also would have been without lots of parts before we went into the build. Jack Fielder for painting it. It absolutely looks fantastic. And to you all for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's quite a long one. I know it was a long time coming. I hope you've enjoyed the process that we've gone through to do it, and what you've seen was satisfying enough for yourselves to do it if you do need to do it in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is again halfway through the DDS.
Literally, I own about three sets of drill bit.
I didn't break a single one and then just got hold of it. Ping, ping, ping. Oh, that's nice. You would not believe how excited I am over what I've just seen. There's a lot of not connected nuts and bolts on your vehicle.
Can you just like lift it up and spin it over your head like Hercules?
Like balancing plates?
Yeah.
On my fingertip.
This long, the DDS.
Hello, mate.
Oh, look at that. It's good, isn't it?
It just is such a bitter irony that
I know.
he looks no different.